Well, I'm sure this is a conundrum that most woodworkers have faced at one point or another. You get yourself a router table all set up, and then you realize just how difficult it is to change bits simply because the collet of the router doesn't extend high enough to make that easy on the top side. But I'll kind of share my growing pains on this type of topic and where I've arrived and what works for me. So let's get into it. I started like everyone does with a router plate, and if you're lucky, you'll get an aluminum one. Sometimes it'll be pre-drilled for your particular router, sometimes not, and you'll have to spend some time marking and drilling for that, and hopefully you get it centered. I've definitely done a lot of that in the past, but I do prefer the aluminum versions over the phenolic, but all of these plates tend to have the same problem. They just don't let the router extend that collet high enough for bit changes. So what that means for you is that you have to remove the router one way or another in order just to simply change a bit. That's really not a plate problem. It's actually a router problem, but the lift is what really solves that. Here's a Kreg plate. This one's phenolic. It's nice and thick, but I do prefer the aluminum ones. And this one was pre-drilled for a Bosch 1617, so that made it a little easier for me. One interesting thing to note is the standard router plate size, or router lift size for that matter, is 11 3/4 by 9 1/4. Although Rockler's gear, they call it a pro plate, is a different dimension. On this short leg, it's just 8 1/4, so something to be aware of if you are shopping for a plate. So even with the sub base removed on a typical router, once you get the plate on there, look, the collet doesn't even extend above the table, so your only hope in changing that bit top side, I guess, would be to use bent wrenches, but that usually doesn't go well, and you'd certainly have to remove your insert ring, so just kind of a hassle without limited access. Compare that to the height that you can get with a typical lift like this Kreg model. This thing is super precise, and I'm just really impressed with how high this goes. You can get the motor just about flush with the top of the table, leaving both wrench access spots easily available. So this Bosch 1617 requires you to use 2 wrenches, but that is super easy to do with that sort of access. Well, we've got more to cover on this topic, but first let me give you a sneak peek at my new custom portable router table. What do you think of that bad boy? It's made with black phenolic plywood from maker stock, so lots of content coming on that. It's even got a little custom holder for that Kreg crank. I'm really liking it so far. Well, if you're down with the router table topics, take a second right now and give me a quick thumbs up on this video and subscribe to The Thoughtful Woodworker. I did buy a special set of bent wrenches for my Bosch router, and you know, if you have to use these, it's better than nothing, but they're not real convenient and they tend to be a bit of a knuckle buster. So personally, I'm super glad that I don't have to mess with those anymore, especially for these routine tasks like just changing out a bit. And now I'd like to take you through my one-step process for collet maintenance. I do this every time I change the bit. I didn't say it was a complicated process, but honestly, blow out those collets, clean the dust out. A collet is a clamp in a way, so give it the best opportunity to do a good job for you. With any router lift, it can be a little tedious to raise and lower the bits just because the adjustments are so fine. On my Freud FT1700, there's a coarse adjustment to quickly raise and lower it, and then you dial it in from there. But this system overall, I would say, gets the win for being more precise. One concern I had about switching over to a router lift is I wasn't sure how securely that motor would be held in place. So we'll pull it out so you can get a good look at the clamping mechanism. But first I want to show you my shake test, and that really convinced me that these things are pretty solid. So I just grab the motor and just give it a good push and see if there's any deflection in that router bit, and no deflection at all, at least when the carriage is locked. Let me unlock that just to see what kind of looseness you get in that situation. Again, a big push on the router motor, and there's just the tiniest bit of deflection, even unlocked. So even if you just give it a gentle crank, yeah, that thing's not going anywhere, zero deflection. By the way, what do you think of my custom router table fence here? It's got T-tracks on the top and front, so I can use some of my favorite accessories like these Jessam flex stock guides. And even the sub fences here are sliding, so it's been a pretty good system for me. All right, just one quick note about your fence mount on a typical router table, and then I'll pull my big router table out and we'll take a look at that Freud router. My personal preference is I like a fence to be mounted through kind of these keyhole shaped slots like this. The holes go all the way through the table, so I can just use 5/16 carriage bolts and tall knobs, and I think that does a better job of really securing the fence down just compared to standard T-tracks. Look at it roll. We can watch Jackie Gleason while we eat. So this is my bench dog router table on a custom cabinet base, and I just love this thing. Everything from the fence to the track assembly on the front. But you know, Rockler took over the bench dog name, and I frankly don't think they've been the same since. So I wish these things were still made, but unfortunately that's where we're at. But let me show you the kind of Swiss cheese plate I have on this. It's real typical, and that special Freud router. So I don't know if everyone is quite as impressed with this router as I am, but it's really got some special features. 2 1/4 horse, and you can adjust everything topside, but there's also this course adjustment feature, so you can raise or lower that to get your bit close and then fine tune it from there. I will say that when you loosen that lock on your router, there is a little bit of play there that you don't experience on a router lift, but it is a workable system. I've even got over and under the table dust collection on this one. Seems to work pretty good. I'm not really sure who made that dust collection kit with the blue pickup, but I have found a very similar one from Milescraft. It seems to have all the same parts, except for the dust route is now kind of this red color, but I like it because it's flexible, so it really doesn't interfere with anything, like raising and lowering the collet for topside bit changes. Anyway, all this stuff will be down in the description box if you want to get a better look at it. And perhaps my favorite fence mount is this one. This hardware actually just kind of pinches the edge of the table there, and that gives you a really secure mount. So there's my old Swiss cheese plate full of holes, but everybody's got one of those, right? I just wanted to show you how high I can raise the collet on this Freud router. So I'll loosen up that buckle and do the course adjustment, and it'll get just above the table there. One advantage this one has is there's a lever down below that will actually lock the collet. So as you spin that, it'll click in and you can do 1-wrench bit changes. And there's only a handful of router designs that'll actually let you do that 1-wrench bit changes where the collet, it just remains locked on its own. So I wish more of them had it. That's kind of a nice system. Double locking collet there. It's nice and secure. But, you know, this Freud's no longer made, but guess who bought the rights to Freud's power tool division? It's actually Bosch. So if anyone's going to bring this back, it's going to be our friends at Bosch. Time for some maintenance. And you could release the collet lock, raise and lower the bit, or even lock the router all above the table. So this really was like having a lift built right into your router. Some of these bad boys, the later ones that they made, actually had an automatic collet lock. So all you had to do was raise the collet up and it would automatically lock for you. What's that remind you of? Kind of like that Triton router. Look at that. Isn't that the most beautiful fixed base router you've ever seen? No? Is it just me? It's a looker, but it's really that one main feature that really got me going on these Freud routers. There's that auto spindle lock feature, and the simple act of just raising up the collet enough plus rotating it a bit will lock it in automatically for 1-wrench bit changes. I just love that feature. So what's the big deal, you say? After all, Triton has that same auto locking collet feature. Why don't you just use one of those? Well, I did. I had a 2 1/4 horse Triton and I installed it in this very router table and I got rid of it almost immediately. I really didn't like it. It was one particular safety feature that just drove me mad. Typically when you use a router in a table like this, you have a remote switch. Maybe it turns on your router and your vacuum at the same time. Well, you can't use that with a Triton just because there's a safety switch, a safety device on there. You have to reach under the cabinet and physically turn it on every cycle, so this wasn't working for me. But we got to say goodbye to backup number 1 and backup number 2 because I want to pull that Kreg router lift out of my little table so I can show you the mechanism on that. Pop that baby out of there and have a little look. So for any of the Kreg style tables, you won't have a little rabbet or a ledge there like you typically would with adjustment screws around the plate. Kreg just uses a different system. They have these corner leveling feet and 2 set screws on each, and you level things up that way. I guess it does make it easier to cut the opening if you're doing a custom router table, but I do wish these were a little more standardized. And actually, if Kreg just added 8 or 10 set screws around their plates, these things would be nearly universal. Anyway, the system that holds in the router motor I thought was noteworthy, so let's pull that out and have a look. When I was researching this lift online, somebody mentioned they thought it was made by woodpeckers, and I looked at this tag on the bottom and it says made in Canada. I said, oh, you mean it was made by Jessam? And in fact, this lift is made by Jessam for Kreg. It's just an extremely high quality unit. It has 4 jaws that can be repositioned to accommodate a variety of different routers. This one apparently can handle over 20 different models, and the way that you do that is just by removing this fastener, and then the jaw can index into any one of these holes. And for a common 3.5 inch diameter router like the Bosch 1617, I happen to know that uses the number 5 position, so we'll reinstall that fastener. And once you tighten those up, you'll notice that they can still pivot slightly to automatically align as you install the router, but they don't have much play to them. They say to run the lift all the way to the top till it contacts these rubber O-rings here. And if your router doesn't fit immediately, just adjust things with the crank to kind of splay it open slightly, and it should drop into place for you. You'll have that 2 5/8 inch trim ring installed, and you don't want it to bottom out all the way onto that, but just raise it up by about 1/16 of an inch to tighten up the clamp. So that's a really solid clamping system, and it kind of alleviated any of my fears right off the bat. So that's where I'm at with my router table journey. Feel free to share your thoughts and comments. If it differs slightly from mine, and that's fine. Hey, drop down in the description box, and there you'll find some really interesting links to products we talked about today, things that I've found personally very useful for setting up a router table. And please do subscribe to The Thoughtful Woodworker.